And happy 2022, everybody. Welcome to, we had our first full year of shenanigans, and now, more than likely, because me and Nathan are already planning even more shenanigans for our dear colleague, Mr. Fraser. So, yes, we so are. But
Fraser,
please,
I'm
but
so
please don't say it like
sorry.
you're actually having an orgasm in your pants, sir.
Fraser, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for you. Dean and I really value your insights.
We do.
You are the best of us, and we are very sorry for the hilarious things to us that we get to do to you, where you will go, "What? That's totally biased. That's unfair. You can't say that." Oh
Yeah,
my
he said that.
god.
He said that already. That's a point, Fraser. Your New Year's resolution can come up with another signature catchphrase.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't even want to better myself. I'm so bad.
I can't believe you just asked her that, or asked that person that.
I want Kenny.
He does want Kenny. He wants Kenny No Balls so badly. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is a conversation about movies and everything else. But Kenny No Balls can happily wait till Body Sounds and Dropkicks. So
Kenny,
if you are,
he lost his smile. He's not really wrestling right now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I did say we were going to move it on, but yeah, we actually do need to physically move it on because we've got a fair bit to go through. For anyone, obviously, the news is first as always. So I actually have a bit of good news for anyone who owns HBO Max. I actually have have something here from Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar that The Batman will arrive on HBO Max for subscribers on April 19th this year, which is 46 days after it arrives exclusively in cinemas. Now, I did actually know sort of about this because whereas last year, when the pandemic was at its worst, they decided to release them on the same day. But I do remember there was a report that said next year they were going to wait a month and then bring it out, which is exactly what's happening with this. So with that being said, if anyone is near a movie screen and wants to watch it, The Batman is actually on March 4th, 2022. Killar previously shared the news that, like I've just said, Warner Media's biggest tentpole films would be headed exclusively to theatres for at least 45 days before moving to a service like HBO Max, and the company would no longer be debuting them day and date as it did for the 2021 films such as Matrix Revolutions, Godzilla vs. Kong, Suicide Squad, and Nathan's absolute joyous favourite, Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Shut up, stupid. Worst movie of 2021.
Yep. And this strategy will also extend to Warner Media's other 2022 films like Black Adam, The Flash, and Elvis? Is there an Elvis movie coming out?
Oh, God. Hang on just a second here. I want to make sure.
This Elvis movie? Seriously?
I want to make sure that.
Is the King of Heartbreak?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh.
Okay. Yes. There is an Elvis movie coming out.
Holy shit! It's the Baz Luhrmann movie.
If you'll excuse me, my mother is a huge Elvis Presley fan, and I want to watch her squeal about this. So give me a minute. I'll be right back.
That's all right. We can do it again. Carry on. Yes. And that was a very quick break anyway. While he does that, I'll just let everybody know who's in it. It's actually being directed by Baz Luhrmann, with a story by Baz Luhrmann. It's starring Tom Hanks and Austin Butler. Let me just see who Austin Butler is, because the name isn't familiar. Sebastian Cohen in Carrie Diaries, Tex Washington Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Will Omsford in the Sahara Chronicles. Let's see what else he's been in. Aliens in the Attic, The Intruders, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And he is actually Elvis Presley, The Dead Don't Die as well. TV, oh God, you've got the usual kid ones here. Declassified, Unfabulous, Drake and Josh, Hannah Montana, Zooey 101. Right, let's move on to something a bit more upbeat with his career. CSI Miami. Well, the only thing I'm going to say is with CSI, I actually have a saying that if you actually it's kind of like being on an Aussie soap puts you in good stead for a good Hollywood career. if you have actually been in CSI, in any CSI, doesn't matter what it is, then that is a good. That is actually good for you as far as your career goes. He's actually been in 2. He's been in the Bling Ring. He's actually been in Arrow for 3 episodes. He's actually in something else. So never heard his singing voice, but let's hope it's good. Luke Bracey's in it. Daisy Montgomery. I apologize if I butchered his first name. He was actually Red Ranger in the Power Rangers movie, the newest one with Elizabeth Banks. Richard Roxburgh and David Wenham, both from. Well, Richard Roxburgh is actually one of the best guys who can do an English accent. Actually, he can actually say cretin right for a start. He doesn't go cretins. And David Wenham, who, as we all know, is the most fantastic storyteller from 300. Just want to see if there's anybody else in it. I know. It's been distributed by Warner Brothers and Roadshow Entertainment. Release date is 24th of June, 2022 in the US. Not sure where it is everywhere else, but that's in the US. But it does say it's going to be released, except in Australia and New Zealand, where it's distributed by Roadshow Films. It just chronicles the life and career of rock and roll legend Elvis Presley. So I think it might be time to say we're all shook up by this news. But we know Nathan's parents will be. So, I'm assuming you're not a big Elvis fan.
My grandmother is. I like some of Elvis' music. I like the movie Bruce Campbell did, where he played Elvis and Bubba Hotep.
Oh God, nobody wants to see Bruce Campbell as Elvis. I'm pretty sure I can speak for Nathan when I also say I'm pretty sure Nathan doesn't want to hear that as well. But yeah, that's actually quite a bit of shocking news. I didn't even know there was anything on. Where are we? HBO Max. Just while we wait for Nathan, because this doesn't actually concern Canada. This was news. In fact, this was news about 5 days ago, actually. Ghostbusters Afterlife is coming to digital streaming in the UK less than 2 months after its theatrical release. And unlike similar films such as Dune and No Time to Die that arrived on digital streaming platforms than expected, Ghostbusters Afterlife will not be a premium rental. It'll be available to purchase and digitally own at a lower cost. Ghostbusters Afterlife is expected to become available in the UK on January 10th. According to the listing on both Amazon Prime Video and the Sky Store, and you can already pre-order it on Amazon Prime's video platform. In the US, it will be available. Actually, it'll be available in 2 days on the 4th of January. Unfortunately, kids, that's when the majority of you go back. So the kids will go back on the January 4th. I'll absolutely book it.
Well, actually, you'd be surprised. We've got word in Ontario that children are going back to school on the Wednesday, the 5th of January due to COVID-19 and could be pushed back even further. So kids, enjoy your Ghostbusters.
Yes, if you have Amazon Prime or Sky Store, well, with Amazon Prime, I'm assuming that you will have to pay for it. But there is a chance that it might release it on Prime anyway and get it free. Yes, you can already pre-order on Amazon's VOD store. So in other words, it probably will cost you a bomb.
Yeah, well, it won't be on Prime if you can already order it.
Yeah, unfortunately. Bit of a shame. Right, so from a bit of a disappointment, but joy for anyone who likes Ghostbusters, in fact, let me get rid of that a minute because I don't need that. Oh, yes, I have actually seen this next bit. There has been rumours of a Ghost Rider movie coming around. There's been ideas. I mean, there was rumours on Nicolas Cage was going to play him again. Obviously, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we already had a Ghost Rider in there, but since basically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer MCU canon, it doesn't really matter. So the rumours have it. Basically, the story goes, it was back in September 2019 that we heard Marvel wanted Ghost Rider in the MCU. There were simpler times before the pandemic began. Marvel already had a Ghost Rider version that could have been added to the MCU with ease. That's Gabriel Luna's Robbie Reyes from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Same character should have appeared in the Hulu show as well, but Marvel eventually cancelled it, yada, yada, yada. Some MCU fans wanted Norman Reedus, who is actually in The Walking Dead. I think it's Dowley plays. I haven't seen Walking Dead in ages. Even Diego Luna, even though Gabriel Luna himself said he would like to see Reedus play Johnny Blaze version of Marvel's Ghost Rider. All this brings us to the present day. The first year MCU Phase 4 adventures ended on a very successful high note following No Way Home and Hawkeye, which they are, well, one is absolutely brilliant and one is absolutely Christmas-centric, and obviously reintroduced us to a certain Wilson Fisk, which has endless possibilities, both just about for every single Marvel character there is. And Norman Reedus is suddenly posting Ghost Rider teasers on social networks after rumors said that Marvel had chosen a new actor for the role. Now, in fairness, if you actually have a look at him as Johnny Blaze, he's actually quite good. It says, as you can see in the tweet, which I will try and post, the image shows Reedus on fire as if he's playing Ghost Rider. Here's what his Instagram post said. Marvel Studios has reportedly chosen an actor to play Ghost Rider in the MCU. Since the news broke, Norman Reedus liked multiple tweets about him portraying the character. So no offense, but if someone's actually liking tweets, that's usually a giveaway that they have actually been cast. So I must admit, I more so know Norman Reedus as a baddie because that's the majority of what I see his career has been. But at the same time, it would actually be nice to see him. I know I've seen a bit of Walking Dead. I haven't seen much of it because I just kind of it's just kind of fallen by the wayside for me. But I did enjoy him in that. So I wouldn't actually mind seeing, well, to put it this way, his portrayal can't be any worse than Nicolas Cage's in both of those movies. And the second one was done by Marvel Knights and should have been absolutely brilliant, but it wasn't. It was trash. Even Idris Elba couldn't save it. That's bloody saying something. Oh, gentlemen, what do we think about Norman Reedus potentially being MCU's Ghost Rider? And to be honest with you, it does bring up a lot of possibilities. It genuinely does. Like a decent Ghost Rider movie for a start.
Here's the thing. I did not like Nicolas Cage Ghostbuster, even though I thought Nicolas Cage, I'm sorry, I thought he was funny as hell in the role. So I'm iffy on Ghost Rider. If they were to bring in Mephisto, like they probably should have in Spider-Man One More Day, I mean, No Way Home, then I could definitely see Ghost Rider maybe playing a little bit more into the MCU, but I'm cautiously intrigued.
Yeah, so am I. Obviously, majority of the time with actors cast as certain roles, we worry. I mean, everyone was dead against Heath Ledger playing Joker. Same with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. I mean, there's been that many people. I mean, even Ben Affleck, when he was cast as Batman, everyone was like, no, 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 no. Same with Pattinson. He was cast as Batman. Everyone just remembers of him from Twice Shite. It's like, no, 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 no. We do not want him as the Batman. But the problem is with all of them, they have actually made near enough everybody's mind change. So I actually genuinely think Norman Reedus could do a good job. I mean, you wouldn't cast someone like him if he could not do that job. You generally wouldn't.
I'll believe you.
So come on, Mr. Fraser, the so-called comic book expert. Come on.
Personally, I would just keep Nicolas Cage as Johnny Blaze. Like, believability-wise, after all the stuff that character has witnessed, there's no way he would be sane still. So Nicolas Cage acting the way that he acts, just being balls to the walls insane, makes the most sense. What I would do with Norman Reedus is I would have him as the grown-up version of Daniel Ketch, who is the other Ghost Rider. Because then they could keep all the stuff with Nicolas Cage, and if they wanted to, they could bring him back for a final Ghost Rider if they wanted to really team up. So, and then they could just build off what they already have. Hell, at this point, I'm hoping they bring the other Blade movies in, since there's the new Blade movie coming, and just play off all of that.
Yep, and that actually ties into what we watched, because apparently Blade is actually one of the stronger heroes in the MCU. I think it was all bar confirmed in Loki as well, in the TV series as well, that Blade is actually, vampires are actually quite high on the food chain as far as the power goes. So Blade will be more powerful than Wesley Snipes as one, which is, well, that's saying something, let's be honest. Anything else to add, gentlemen, before I move it on?
I got nothing.
Before I move it on to probably the most nicest celebrity there is. I'll move it on then. Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are currently starring in the Matrix Resurrections. I haven't seen it yet, but when I eventually do get around to seeing it, I will. There has actually been a bit of a question asked to Carrie-Anne Moss, who actually plays Trinity. Recent interview with People, Carrie-Anne Moss admitted to loving John Wick when she watched it with her son. She says, "It was amazing to have that experience with my son and to watch the depth that Keanu was able to create with his body. It's really an art form," she said. When the question was posed to Moss if she would like to be in one of the upcoming entries, Keanu said, "That would be awesome. You want to play an assassin?" Moss agreed in what seemed like a simple bit of friendly politeness, but Reeves responded with a serious call to action. "Be careful what you wish for. I'm on it now." So does that mean we can, in fairness, if further down I go, Lawrence Fishburne, who was actually in the original Matrix trilogy, is actually in John Wick, so we could actually have a Morpheus, Trinity and Neo reunion in a John Wick movie. Now, I do actually know that Carrie-Anne Moss is actually quite a good martial artist. I mean, obviously she did the original, so she's had all the training that Keanu's had. So I would actually like her to join John Wick and probably be one of the main adversaries, but bearing in mind all the best martial artists come to a John Wick movie. Now, the fourth one is out at some point. That's not the fourth one, is it? It's, hold on. 2, 3. Yeah, it is 4, actually. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through all the movies. So the fourth one is coming at some point. So hopefully, if there is a fifth one going, we will hopefully see her in the finale, if that is what the finale is. But either way, gentlemen, if she goes in that's it. My geekiness, my geek mind has just been blown way out of the stratosphere.
Okay, but has it been blown any more than when, let's say, Kenny No Ball showed up in Impact for Fraser, or when we got J. Jonah Jameson showing up at the end of Far From Home?
Or was it any more surprising than when Mr. Fraser basically sang Kenny Omega's praises for what felt like
that wasn't.
It wasn't months. It wasn't weeks. It wasn't months. It wasn't years. It wasn't ice ages. It felt like, oh my God! It just felt like forever.
Millennia.
I was going to say a few thousand BC. No, a few thousand BC actually. Probably about. It almost felt like we'd gone through about 50 evolutions from when the dinosaurs were on the planet all the way to where we are now, because that's how long it was.
It was 346 days.
Yep, and every one of those days, Fraser, you made it. You made us.
Plus the
literally wish that he was no longer champion. And then, were you really surprised that when he did lose his first belt, we absolutely went for the jugular?
Yep, the whole podcast, the entire podcast.
Yep, I'm pretty sure actually that was our highest downloaded show, because to be honest with you, I would have downloaded it just to hear us on.
Oh my God!
I don't know, but
that is tremendous.
I hope it is. I don't know.
You know what? We had so much fun doing that show. I know this is for a different show, but go now. Stop this podcast. Go find that. Go download that. Especially if you're a Michael Fraser fan.
Did our roasting of Kenny Omega break streaming records?
Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes. Anyway.
Yes, a possible Matrix reunion in John Wick.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
That's literally geek heaven. For me, who I've been a big fan of the original Matrix trilogy, I genuinely have. But for seriously, if that did happen, my geek level, I would just geek out severely. I just genuinely would. Plus, John Wick movies are done so well. They genuinely are. I mean, no offense, but Chad Stahelski made his name off that franchise. And now look at him. He's absolutely brilliant, because that first movie literally made his career. Now everybody wants to work with him. Hell, I want to work with him. Doing what? I have absolutely no idea, but do you know what? I wouldn't freaking care. It's Chad Stahelski, for God's sake. I bet Fraser would like to be one of the assassins who goes after Keanu Reeves, but he would be dressed as Kenny Omega, so we get to see Kenny Omega get shot and killed by John Wick. That for me would be heaven. Anything else to add, Fraser?
No,
Bearing in mind we've had our say. I think I've had more than enough of a say regarding that, to be honest.
no, I'm good. I've kind of heard mixed reactions to the new Matrix movie.
I haven't actually watched it, but I know what happens. But I'm going to wait to watch it regardless of where it comes. I mean, who knows? A miracle might happen this year. HBO Max might even come over here, in which case I am openly open to it. No offense, but I would happily watch Batman all day and all night, particularly with a certain Joker song at Christmas time. Even the producer would be sick and tired of me playing, because I would just play it every single morning during Christmas.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost a wheel and the Joker got away. Crashing through the roof on a one-horse open tree. Over the fields I go, laughing all the way. Merry Christmas to all those who are still celebrating in New Year's. Happy holidays. Have a quasi Kwanzaa, a tip-top tent, and a solemn, dignified Ramadan.
So true. Right, we're going to move it away from DC now, which we've just literally left that one on, and we're going to move it to Marvel. There is, obviously, everybody who is a fan of Marvel knows that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming, but there is actually there might actually be a bit of a problem. I have actually told Fraser this, but there are two characters who he did want to use, but unfortunately he can't for various reasons. One of them is actually called Rom Space Knight, which I'm sure Fraser will explain, because up until I told him who it was, I had no idea who it was.
You remember that toy in the 80s, Rom Space Knight?
No, mate. I was barely able to count to 3 in the 80s.
Basically, Rom Space Knight was like was this toy that basically kind of lit up, had a blaster. It didn't really have that many posable movements, so Marvel ended up making a whole lore for the character and everything. And how he's a space knight, they basically give up like their mortal bodies to become those metal behemoths in order to fight evil. And basically, Marvel made it like heavily connected into the Marvel universe during certain arcs, and eventually they ended up like losing the rights. So basically, they can't use the character, but they have all the lore and all the enemies and everything that they were fighting. Linkara did a whole retrospect on it. That's on his YouTube channel if people want to check it out.
Someone actually asked James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, on Twitter about the possibility of using Rom Space Knight in one of the Guardians movies. And Gunn actually tweeted, "Alas, I cannot, as Marvel no longer holds the right to Rom, just to some other Space Knights and parts of the story created in the comics. Otherwise, believe you me, old Toasterhead would probably be in the Guardians by now." And a follow-up tweet from James Gunn also confirmed that the Marvel character Bug, another fan favourite that at one point was part of Guardians of the Galaxy in the comic, can't be on the team since his legal standing is complicated as well. And it also says, having been part of the Micronaut series originally, for those unaware, both Rom and the Micronauts are actually owned by Transformers owners Hasbro, and were originally in Marvel Comics due to a licensing deal that has long since expired. But James Gunn has actually been open in the past about his desire to use either of these characters, but unfortunately, unlike the negotiations between Marvel and Sony, I don't think the negotiations between Marvel and Hasbro for those guys will ever happen, because apparently Hasbro's been attempting to get projects off the ground based on characters like Rom, Micronauts and others, in the hope that they can replicate the success that Transformers has had. Well, I say success. Success on an action front, maybe not so much on a story front, but either way, if James Gunn has basically said that he thinks it will never happen, then more than likely it won't. But then again, who knows?
It's just similar with Marvel. That at this point, Marvel's just printing money, so they might as well hook up that Sony deal.
Yeah, but the only thing is with this, they would have to go through Hasbro to see if they can actually use them. But the problem is then, if Hasbro did want to get their own, how would they put that into any negotiation? It's kind of like, it would probably be even more worse than when Marvel and Sony had to have that deal over Spider-Man, but that would just be a lot worse.
Like the thing with the Marvel and Sony deal is, as much as I'm very, very rooted in pro Sony for that deal. I think they got a raw deal. If you, I don't even know how to put this. At least Marvel and Sony knew the yields that Spider-Man had prior to going in. With the Hasbro character, it's a much bigger risk, and I believe money talks. I believe money plays ball. If you have a guaranteed multi-billion-dollar franchise in Spider-Man, it can make strange bedfellows, but it's not. It wouldn't be unheard of, I don't think. But it would be a heck of a lot less likely than it would be if Sony and Marvel were to start talking again.
Anything to add, Mr. Flazer?
Basically, Marvel has done a whole bunch with the character. I can only imagine the kind of films or animated series they can do. I know there was a newer ROM series done by another company. I haven't read it, but the art and the way they redesigned ROM a bit looked really good. But I would check out the old school Marvel stuff if people have an opportunity, or even check out Linkara's review about the entire retrospect. It's really good.
I would actually like to see, I'll say just for my curiosity, because I'm always curious, what a movie with Rom, Space Knight and Bug would actually be like. Because if there is something that they can use them to for Guardians of the Galaxy stuff-wise, then maybe it might be worth going into negotiations. Or then we could do what we always do, or what everybody does, which is let them make a movie about said characters, watch them fuck it up, and then in pounces Marvel with an opportunity to say, if we have them in the Guardians of the Galaxy, we'll give you a deal that's similar to what we did with Sony. So in other words, we take all the risk, you get all the reward. That's probably how it'll end up going anyway. But if they do decide to do a Rom, Space Knight and Bug movie, please don't hire Michael Bay. Please do not hire Michael Bay. Hire someone decent. Hell, hire Chad Stahelski. He's a bloody household name now. Now, there is two bits of last bit of news, gentlemen. One is sort of a bit, which we still can't wrap our head around. The other one is actually quite nice. There's a bit of Disneyland news here, as in Disneyland Paris, not any other ones in America.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to, yes. Because I have actually been to Disney World, and I just want to I actually want to hear from anybody on Twitter or Insta who has actually been to Disneyland Paris and actually has had to deal with this, because I just want to see what it's like. Obviously, in every Disney park, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Disneyland Paris, any other ones in America, you have been allowed to build your own lightsabers. Hell, that's the main reason why I want to go to Disney in California, so I can build 2 lightsabers. But unfortunately, in Disneyland Paris, this will not be the case. I don't know how long it will be for, but apparently, Disneyland Paris has stopped guests from building lightsabers. Now, this is what we can't get our heads around. What it actually says is, hold on, let me just get the quote here. I can't remember it. Someone's actually, DLP report said, at Star Traders, build your own lightsaber is still open, but cast members now build it for you at a distance to limit manipulations. So I guess it's cast build your own lightsaber. But the thing of the matter is, but the question that really bothers me is, how can you manipulate something that you're going to be owning? Don't get me wrong, I am not an expert in lightsaber construction, but as I remember how the video of it actually went, you actually choose your own kyber crystal, which is fair enough, and then you build your lightsaber. So how are you supposed to manipulate it? Because this is what's really bugging me. How do you manipulate a lightsaber? It's not as if Yoda's going to go to you and say, "Oh, tamper with this, you must." Now, how exactly are you supposed to manipulate it? If someone does actually know the answer to this, please hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, because I'm dumbfounded. I have never heard such a bigger piece of shit in my life. I genuinely have not. I mean, come on, boys. I mean, what are we going to do? We're not exactly going to unless there's a kyber crystal that can magically change color every single time you swipe your lightsaber or you swing your lightsaber, I should apologize. But honestly, I mean, if it's for a good reason, that's fair enough. But in fact, where it's not yet clear why Disneyland Paris has stopped this guest activity, the tweet suggests it is to limit manipulation. It is also perhaps likely that Disney Park has decided to change this experience to reflect the current times. But no offense, but we're supposed to be getting better. Yes, we still have shit going on, obviously. But to be fair, isn't that in hindsight, if you're actually taking something home that you're building, wouldn't that be even more of a risk if someone's building it for you?
Well, here's the thing. I can't stand the decision to take away the make your own lightsaber experience from the park. If it was for safety, that would be a certain thing, and if they would come out and say that it was for safety, it'd be a certain thing. If it was for safety to streamline the experience during COVID-19 times, absolutely, I would be on board with it. We here in Ontario and Canada are facing record numbers right now. Ontario had about 15,000 cases reported yesterday alone. So it's sky high in the amount of infections. So I could see it maybe from that perspective. But really, when you think about it, you're compromising guest experience for something that, if public health was really bad, would be closed down anyway.
Yeah.
In order for Crystal, I'm sorry, that's the only way I can see it. In terms of crystal manipulation, oh God, no, don't even.
You're not even going to do that, let's be honest.
Well, here's the thing. Even if you could do that, why would you do that? I do not understand why or how you could do some sort of manipulation. What is it going to do? Chop off somebody's hand a little bit cleaner than the others?
Maybe it'd be a case of ripping through it and actually nicking your opponent's kyber crystal, perhaps. I don't know.
Look, I'm sorry, Dean. If I were to go in and we were to have a fight to the death as to who was the best host, and I were to chop off your arm, could I do it better with a certain crystal? Probably not.
Maybe not.
Well, I mean, until we get weaponized lightsabers, though, is that really going to be a problem?
Well, to be honest with you, because I actually have a vision that when we actually make enough money, we'll take all of our families to Disney World and we will actually build our own lightsabers. Aside from me, because I want to, because I'm the visionary founder and I'm greedy.
Well, don't you already have one?
No. Oh, well, it depends. If you're on about Big Bang Theory, where they have two tiny lightsabers where male genitalia should be, the answer is definitely no. No, but seriously, my kybers would actually be blue and green. That's what I would want. Fraser's would definitely be red. I'm thinking single-handed red lightsabers either side. He's like our Darth Maul, if you like.
Well, he does have the face for it. I mean,
yeah, stick a load of makeup on him with a few pointy horns here. He'd be brilliant.
Wow.
I'm guessing in Nathan, yours would be green.
I was thinking green. It's either going to be blue or green. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
In fact, the producer, she would have two red ones in the mold of Acai Ventress.
Producer's got good taste.
Yeah, well, that's what I would like her to have. It just depends if she does. She'd probably say something like, "Hello, oh darling, I don't like red lightsabers. They clash with my dress.
Can I get a purple one? I want to be like Samuel Jackson because his name is closest to Scott Eastwood."
No, I'd give her white ones just so there is no allegiance to anyone. I was saying that she'd probably go red just because she's loyal to Fraser, as we all very well know.
He's my favorite podcaster.
He is, actually. All right, then, Fraser, what would you, Jesse, and the kids have, lightsabers-wise?
Jessie probably would want purple because purple's her favorite color. Helena probably would want blue because she really likes blue, and probably green for Lucian.
So does that mean that the lady gets to be Nathan's apprentice then?
Probably.
I'd say I would want her under Darth Maul. I'm sorry.
You know which Sabers hero say bad mother fudger on the side?
I'm not quite sure they allow that. What color would you have?
Hey, if we make enough money, I'm sure we could get engraved somehow.
We could. What would you have Lucian have?
Lucian probably have green. That kid's nothing but energy at this point.
No, I was kind of thinking. I'm not exactly familiar with lightsaber colors, but either way, I'd take him under my wing, and you know that. So at least your kids would be safe with us.
Yeah, we would not let the Sith take your kids, Fraser.
The Sith would not turn them. Neither would Lord Sidious. Otherwise,
back in old lore, when you get your Kyber crystal, basically the color would represent you, and then they ended up changing it and the different Kyber crystal colors and.
Let the hate flow through you.
Well, we always do need to replace. In fact, if they're on about, I'll say, rebooting the Star Wars franchise from Return of the Jedi onwards, I think they might need another Emperor Palpatine.
Good.
I give you him here.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
Either that or get Mark Hamill to do it.
And your pathway to the dark side will be complete. Wait a minute. I feel like I'm having an identity crisis.
I need to hear you do it as J. Jonah Jameson now.
Oh, God, that'd be even worse.
Good. Let the hate flow through you. And your pathway towards hating Spider-Man will be complete. Got me that latte, right? You know nothing. Seriously. Need paper? Need a latte? I need to hate Spider-Man. Strike Spider-Man down with all of your hatred, and your pathway towards the dark side be complete. Betty, bring Parker in here. Parker, look what I got for you, Parker, I got a lightsaber, Parker. Oh, you go out there and you lure that precious ego-driven, foolhardy Spider-Man right to you because for some reason he really likes you. And that way, when he comes out, you strike him down with all your hatred. You just stab him right in the chest like bam. What do you mean you won't do it? Oh. So hard to get good out these days. Fraser!
Yes?
Fraser, I want you to take this lightsaber, Fraser. I want you to go out to New York. I don't care how, but you're probably the easiest to get out there. You go out there, get a flight, get yourself vaccinated, make sure you're fully vaccinated because we don't want any trouble. Go out, get a flight, go into Manhattan, and lure out Spider-Man because you love Spider-Man. It's his number one comic. Now, one more day. You're his number one fan. And then, when Spider-Man comes to meet you, you stab him with this lightsaber, Fraser.
Close the door, Parker. Close the door. Yep, I got this. And now I'm going to use it on you, Jameson, so enjoy.
Oh!
Why
would you strike down your dark master?
Because it's within the nature of the Sith. Learn what you can from your master and often.
Unfortunately. Hold on a minute. Fraser, have you ever heard of the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Have you ever heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No, you got to say it Ian McDermott style.
I can't even do Ian McDermott. That man's like a full-on trained theater actor.
Hold on, let me try it again. Have you ever heard of the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Or the end line. Not from a Jedi.
Not from a Jedi.
And now Nathan's trying to see if he can one-up me. By the way, if there is anyone who actually knows anyone at Star Wars, except Kathleen Kennedy, we will not go into that. Anyway, in fact, if anyone knows Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, tell him to mail me on Instagram. Tell him to mail us on Instagram, actually, and we will hopefully be in the running for the new Lord of the Sith if there ever is one required. It is your destiny.
It is your destiny.
Or should I be, it is our destiny.
Wipe out Viceroy Gunray. I don't know who he is, but I hate his guts, Anakin.
He's never come up before, Master.
Shut up, Anakin.
I'm not pretty sure he never said that. Anyway, let's move it on. I actually have a nice report here from northeast, from Yorkshire. Obviously, if you're in a little remote seaside town, you really don't expect to see anyone really famous. Well, it's actually quite funny because I have actually seen where this place is. It's just on it's on the coast near the Yorkshire Moors, which is kind of like near Middlesbrough in the northeast. Guys actually got a photo of someone who looks like Tom Hardy, but you wouldn't recognize him unless you actually knew who he actually was. So it is actually nice to see that in a small seaside town where literally you wouldn't think anybody like him would go. He goes. So I just want to say, if there is any famous Hollywood A-listers who fancy a bit of a change of pace, go and visit the Northeast. It's absolutely lovely. Stayed there many a time. Oh, believe me, Northeastern girls know how to party. Honestly. You think you guys know how to party? Honestly, Geordie ladies would eat you alive in the partying game. I mean, in Fraser's case, he has no game.
It's true.
I have game.
Do you have game?
I have the game. That's how I ended up married. So
I have game.
We're kind of thinking that you married Jessie while she was drunk, a la Triple H.
no,
It's you know what? There's a reason he's saying he has game. I don't know what they're saying, Fraser. Quite frankly, I'm right behind you.
Oh, he has game. With that being said, let's move away from the news until next week. Now, 2021 has been a lot of things. A lot of people have hated it. I haven't really had a bad 2021. Excuse me. But the one thing that has been consistent is the MCU has actually started doing TVs and movies. So with Phase 4 near enough coming to a close, I thought it might be worthwhile just revisiting the very first time that Marvel or the MCU has actually debuted TV shows and movies as part of a phase. So gentlemen, obviously we've had so many. We've had WandaVision, we've had Falcon and Winter Soldier, we've had that many, I can't remember them all. Obviously Loki, Shangchi, we've had, help me out here, Hawkeye, we've had Eternals, we've had, help me out Fraser, you're the comic book expert, help me out.
we've had all the Captain America movies, Thor, Iron Man. We had
This year, I don't think we've had it this year, we've had What If as well.
I'm covering everything while we're at it.
We don't need everything. We just need 2021. That's why we cast. That's why we
boys! We're forgetting the most important thing here. We still haven't seen the J. Jonah Jameson solo movie.
Or should that be the Jigsaw Jameson show?
You know, Spider-Man: No Way Home,
featuring J. Jonah Jameson.
Maybe you should tell the producers to send that to Kevin Feige. Just don't mention Young Avengers, otherwise he'll stare at you with a mad face like you literally like he's the worst dad in the world. It's like, don't you dare say anything about that.
You know, that meme has been circulating where it's just like Kevin Feige looks like he's going to end her whole career.
I can't wait to get Haley Steinfeld on here eventually and say, by the way, Haley, since Kevin Feige is not with us, are we having the Young Avengers? She'll probably laugh and end up saying, I can't discuss it. I'll say, that means yes then. Always take a rejection as it is happening, because obviously we're not allowed to say anything NDA stuff. Anyway, boys, if Mr. Fraser, who is a better comic book encyclopedia than me, if he says the show of each one, so we'll start with WandaVision, then obviously go through them all, and then we can say what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, And would we want a season 2? Because I know obviously there's some of them that won't be. Some are actually getting another movie. But it's a case of what did we think of them overall, and would we like to see a second season, maybe in the next phase? Are we good? Is that all right, boys?
Sure.
Yep. All right, then. So the first one I always remember is WandaVision, because it's actually a nice change of pace that I liked, because it's not all action. It's a bit of a nice little 60s comedy. Well, actually, it was 60s, then it just sort of went all over the place. And then it's sort of like half comedy and then half just basically Wanda being Wanda. So I will say this. I really enjoyed it because obviously it's nice to see that Marvel can do something else aside from just action and comedy. And they actually really did bring it. I was absolutely impressed with Elizabeth Olsen, as I'm sure Mrs. Fraser was impressed with WandaVision as well.
Jesse loved WandaVision.
There you go. We have the approval of the head of a Final Cut table. What more do we need to say?
So I would be remiss, because we're talking about WandaVision, to not bring up conversations I've had with the person who voices Ivy in Dr. J's Self-Help. She's a huge Kat Dennings fan, and apparently Kat Dennings was absolutely immaculate in WandaVision, to the point where I can't remember if this is one of the times that we actually met up at a party, or like we were she was live streaming it, but she had to rewind to watch all of Kat Dennings' scenes just because apparently she stole every scene she was in. Personally, I didn't see it. The one thing I will say, yes, Elizabeth Olsen was great in that. Let's talk about Vision. Because Vision himself in that whole thing brought a new dimension to the character that I would argue we really needed for that. He's become the definitive Vision through that.
Despite the white Vision that appears and probably will be the last time we actually see Vision, which is a bit of a shame because I actually like it.
Yeah.
So come on then, comic book expert, your opinion. By the way, this can also be your opinion and Jessie's opinion since you are married. So technically, she is with us, and you can speak for her.
Also, I was going to say before you begin, remember, whatever you say, we will somehow find a way to get back to Jessie.
So please speak as if she was actually with you, and don't go right. If we hear something like, "I can't believe he said that. I did not say that," then that'll be it. Forfeits will be on the agenda.
We will have to. Okay, Mel, I know you listen to these podcasts. Listen very, very closely. Listen very closely to whatever Fraser says and be ready to cut it up into bite-sized chunks for either Dean or myself to use when the time comes. And it will.
And if a producer is listening, which I know she is, she can put the loyalty she has for Fraser aside. Because don't forget, Mrs. Fraser is the true head of a Final Cut table.
Also, don't forget, I have the raw footage too. So,
right, Mr. Fraser, you may start.
Okay, I liked WandaVision. I liked how it basically showed the evolution of sitcoms and the deep reason for it. The development of Vision was much needed because we got a bit of character from him, but I feel like these gave a wider range of what he could be. The villain they had was fantastic. Really old school in the Marvel comics. She was part of Wanda's solo series. She also was the babysitter for Reed's son back in the day. I don't think there should be another season, but I think it's because WandaVision was that good that we don't need another season. I'd rather them not like retread any ground they did before, because not every show needs a sequel season. I would like to see Wanda pop up in some of the other shows to keep a wider range of the universe, and I'm pretty hyped to see her in the next Doctor Strange movie.
I will actually echo Fraser's sentiments. I would like to see a second season, but I don't actually think there will be one, because I'm pretty sure this was just like a one season show. But which is a bit weird because it's not owned by Netflix, and Netflix hasn't actually cancelled it. Actually, Disney has. So that in itself is a bit weird. But seriously, though,
If you've
I
got
did
plans
thoroughly
to
enjoy it.
incorporate her into the MCU, though, why would you have another season of WandaVision?
I know. I do want another season, but at the same time, I don't, because it was absolutely superb in literally every aspect. I mean, even Kat Dennings, I was like, oh, I've missed you so much. I genuinely have missed you so much. And not to mention the fact that we have Monica Rambeau now, who at the end is actually recruited by Nick Fury. Well, not sure which Nick Fury it is yet, but we'll find out. But yeah, that also brings us on to she will be in the Marvels, which is basically Captain Marvel 2, which I think is either being released this year or next year. I'm not quite sure yet, but that's actually the first one of the TV series to actually play into something else. And I was quite shocked because obviously we saw Quicksilver as in the 20th Century Fox version, but obviously we sort of know it wasn't that, because I don't think any of the X-Men lot are actually ready to be integrated into Phase 5 yet, or into any of the phases, I should say.
Marvel's supposed to drop February 17th, 2023.
So we've got another 13 months to wait. But seriously, boys, I generally did like it. I would like another season, but I know there won't be one. I think it's actually been reported that there will not be another one. And I think Wanda's going to have her hands full anyway with Doctor Strange this year. That's probably the main reason why they didn't do another one. Anything? Oh, by the way, Fraser, you say Jessie liked it, but you didn't add anything else on her behalf.
Well, if Jessie was here, then she'd be able to. But Jessie's a huge fan of the Scarlet Witch. I even bought her House of M, got her all of the Scarlet Witch comics from her solo series. Wanda also was part, if I recall, the Avengers No Surrender storyline as well. They've been doing a whole lot with the character lately. She even ended up teaching at Strange's Academy.
That might actually tie into the aftermath of Doctor Strange 2, perhaps, now that you mentioned that.
So there's a lot they can do if they come out of it. And, and basically through WandaVision, we pretty much saw part of Wanda's arc complete because she went through like the levels of grief and everything. And I like both Quicksilvers. It kind of would have been nice to have seen both of them.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Aaron Taylor Johnson's. I would have.
But unfortunately, we didn't get that.
So we'll go on from WandaVision on to the next one. I believe was Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I'm going to abstain. I have not seen it.
You haven't?
No.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I must admit, Endgame kind of left a bit of a question mark as to whether he would carry it on. And obviously we got our answer in the first episode when they gave the shield to somebody else. And then it went through the whole, should he have given up the shield, shouldn't he? And then obviously it was a case of he realised as time went on he shouldn't have given it up. And then everything just went shit street from there. I mean, the new Captain America wasn't really a Captain America because he actually decapitated someone, which we know Steve Rogers would not have done. And Falcon finally actually physically became the next Captain America, which I will say one thing, that final episode was done absolutely beautifully. Not so much with the action, but how Sam addressed everyone as the actual Captain America. And not to mention we had the Dora Milaje show up. And no offense, but if you can successfully make Winter Soldier lose his arm, then you are good. Yeah, there's actually been calls for actually a Dora Milaje. It is Dora Milaje, isn't it, Fraser?
I don't usually know actor names most of the
time.
No,
that's the name of the Wakandan guard that Black Panther has. I'm sure it's the Dora Milaje.
I'm actually not sure. I've not actually read a whole lot of Black Panther stuff, so.
Oh, please, we are accepting invitations for the next episode of Are You in Smart of an Encyclopedia? And if you know Black Panther, then you more than likely will be.
Not saying we'd rig the questions or anything like that. Of course.
Oh no, because the person themselves would choose the questions.
It was not her name's Nakia. There you go.
So yeah, I would actually like Mador and Malaji to actually have their own TV series, because honestly, it's just seeing them back. It's just absolutely brilliant. They are just like they're almost the MCU's version of Klingons, because everybody knows that a Klingon female is one of the toughest in the galaxy. Not to mention she'll eat you for lunch. With that said, we kind of got an idea about what had happened after everybody came back, because obviously it wasn't really the greatest for a lot of people. Let's be good honest. It was hard to watch sometimes, because sometimes TV shows echo real life, which is actually how it can be perceived. And I do, sorry, my phone's going. And I do actually agree with some of the tones that it brings up. But again, I do mainly see it as Sam Wilson's not so much promotion, but elevation to actually becoming the next Captain America. And obviously there's a Captain America 4 movie coming, apparently. So now Anthony Mackie can go to Tom Holland and say, I've got my own movie now, which I believe Tom Holland did actually rib him for not actually having his own movie yet. So Nathan hasn't watched it, but by the way, Nathan, it is absolutely brilliant. And not to mention, one of the lead baddies is actually English, and she does do the part very well. So I will say that for her. And I've actually had one of his henchmen on. You know, the one who actually got decapitated by John Walker. I actually had him on last year. Absolute lovely chap. I believe one of the words I said to him is, "Why would someone decapitate you? You were just such a lovely character." Because he was almost like the conscience, if you like. But unfortunately, conscience didn't really get him that far when he was decapitated. But still a nice guy, nonetheless. Right, Fraser, since you are the encyclopedia, come on, what did you think of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. We got to see a bit more of how the MCU has changed since the events of Endgame. I kind of would have liked if we got to see more of like what else has been going on in the world on top of the plot that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's build up, it showed you the responsibility and like what the shield actually means with everything that they're doing. Bucky, unfortunately, you know that meme going around where you unlock a boss and then he's just nerfed. Bucky's been so heavily nerfed that it's ridiculous. The fact that they went so far into like the issues Bucky's also been having on top of trying to live his life free is also really well. We've seen him go through, in a way, it was like seeing a recovering alcoholic, like the steps he was going through and everything in order to find peace. Sam's costume looked amazing, and all the stuff they did with John Walker, aka a US agent in the comics, was really good. No character felt wasted. I kind of wish they did more of Baron Zemo, because he's such a big threat in the comics that I feel like they could have just turned the entire arc around and just focused on him.
Yeah, I would actually love a Baron Zemo solo show, because he was absolutely brilliant in that. He genuinely was.
There's only one thing I didn't like, and it's one of the scenes where we end up seeing Sam in costume before we get like the full glamour shot. Yeah. I kind of wish they held off on that until after when he landed, but it's great. We also got to see one of the really old school characters as well, who was also experimented on like Steve, and that character's actually held in such high regard in the Marvel Universe that he was even at Black Panther and Storm's wedding as an honored guest. Honestly, the show was fantastic. There's not a whole lot you can really complain about. And I know some people are upset about Sam, getting the shield and all that, but it happened in the comics. It was a great storyline in the comics. We basically got the Battle for the Shield adapted here with some changes here and there that coincide with the universe.
As happens.
And you know what? It also shows you the major problem in the MCU, and I mean like in universe problem, not like with the films. Steve Rogers was such a beacon as a character. He embodied everything that a hero should be. So we got to see a world that doesn't have the beacon that is Captain America until Sam finally dons the shield. And you don't get that in a lot. Like a lot of Marvel stuff, you know, it's usually like the action comedies and everything, but here they took it a lot more seriously. I just wish they, you know, wouldn't nerf Bucky so hard, because he literally was going toe to toe with some of like the top people in the Marvel universe, and here he was just getting like slapped around. I can understand like they set some rules that he has to follow, but like I'm pretty sure in a straight up fight, if he's going up against guys that are a similar caliber as the Super Soldier Serum, we're going to see him go off like he did as the Winter Soldier. So,
not to mention,
it's a great show.
Yeah, don't forget the ace in the hole, otherwise known as Sharon Carter. Now that was a nice plot twist I didn't see. I sort of saw coming, but it wasn't unlike. But it was kind of like one of those things where I didn't actually know at first, but then I actually read something somewhere where everyone in the MCU has iPhones, and if you do not have an iPhone, then they are basically what the bad guys are used for. Now, Sharon Carter did not have an iPhone, and then it turns out that she didn't have an iPhone because she actually was the villain of the piece. And it was kind of like, wow, I don't know. I can't remember the name of who actually figured all that out, but I must admit that is actually a great shout. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier has now ruined it for us, because we now know that all the baddies in the MCU do not have iPhones. They have other types, like say Samsungs or Googles or Hawaii's, or I think that's how you pronounce it, or I don't know, or anything else. But so yeah, I did actually. Well, what have you got?
He hasn't seen it. You spoiled it.
I know. Well, to be fair, it is actually out there anyway, so I'm not spoiling anything that nobody knows about anyway.
Dean, as somebody who did not even think about looking at Winter Soldier, you have just broken it for me. So,
well, technically, I haven't.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for ruining everything, buddy.
Oh, it's all right. You probably never get round to watching it anyway, because you're such a busy guy.
Fair enough.
And besides, by this time next year, everything will be gone, because let's face it, we get more pleasure out of torturing Fraser to the point where we actually totally forget what we did the week previous.
It's true.
I literally forget it the minute we come up with an idea about what to torture Fraser with. I'm just like, right, I focus all my energy on that, and then it's just like, what did we talk about last week?
Torture Fraser. You know, Fraser, you could jump in here and try to, sway your point, because you took a shot at Dean, and it was actually a good shot, and he's taking like 5 at you, and you're just sitting there like, yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's fine. I'm not worried.
I think you will be worried about our latest endeavor. By the way, not only will one of your reputations be ruined, but we will literally die laughing, because we have the ultimate quiz plan for you in a few weeks. And the best bit about it is we haven't cheated you in any of it.
Yeah.
We haven't cheated. No, seriously, we have not cheated. And the best thing is, it's a case of how well do you know a certain thing? We're not going to say what a certain thing is, but we do know that we're going to enjoy this probably even more than we enjoyed roasting Kenny Omega. That's point. Do you think we should? I'm not sure if the producer mentioned this, but do you think we should have a open roast night?
Oh God! Oh, that'd be fun. The thing is,
it wouldn't be fair, because you and me would just roast Fraser for everything. I know he'd roast me, he'd roast you. I sort of would roast him. I tried to roast you, but I'm like, no, I can't do that. He's my partner in pain. I can't do that. But you would happily do that to me, and I know you would.
But here's the thing: if Fraser tried to roast us, he'd suck at it.
He would actually. We could always roast the producer.
Dean doesn't know anything about comic books. Well, yeah, that's why we've got the comic book encyclopedia.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dean's whole idea of movies, he doesn't like Bruce Campbell. And
No. Well, it's not that I don't like Bruce Campbell. It's just a case of Bruce Campbell, unlike you, Fraser, doesn't float my boat. You think of Bruce Campbell as like Clark Gable or Cary Grant, if you like. Me, he's just Bruce Campbell. He's just Bruce Campbell, who basically can barely do anything on his own without Sam Raimi holding his hand. True, though. You know, can't deny it.
He's done a lot outside Sam Raimi, though.
Yeah, but has he been well known for it? No.
He was on Burn Notice.
Oh, wow, one episode.
A lot of people watch. He was in the entire series. He also got a film out of it.
Yeah, and he was also in Black Ops. He was also in Advanced Warfare, which basically I haven't seen that campaign, but I think it didn't go very well for him.
He was also Briscoe County Jr. and Briscoe County Jr. He's also Jack and Jack of all trades.
The day Sam Raimi becomes a Jack of all trades, I will officially renounce my visionary status.
So Bruce Campbell is
not a Jack of all trades. Tom Hardy is a Jack of all trades.
Hellboy 3 as Lobster Johnson. No,
Richard
I mean
Bale
the show he was on. I mean the show he was on was called Jack of all trades.
He's still not. Yeah, but he's not a Jack of all trades. He never is. Never will be.
No, it's the name of the show because in the show.
Hold on, what's the producer pull?
He's right. It was a show that ran in 2000 that starred Bruce Campbell as Jack. Yeah.
That's kind of
bunch of historical.
That's kind of illogical because Bruce Campbell might be in a show called Jack of all trades, but he is not a Jack of all trades.
Yeah, but you know he was technically in a show called Jack of all trades, man. Like he was there. I don't question Fraser when it comes to the knowledge of Bruce Campbell, man.
Oh, I don't, but I'm just simply saying Bruce Campbell is not a Jack of all trades. He couldn't be, even if his life depended on it.
He was supposed to be in Hellboy 3 as well as Hellboy's idol, Lobster Johnson.
Yeah, but unfortunately that didn't happen, did it?
Nope, and then they did the really, really shitty remake, and then he was supposed to be in the Hellboy video game, but they somehow lost his audio files when he's supposed to be an unlockable character. And...
Anyway, let's move it away from Bruce Campbell. What have we got next on the...
Apparently the producer said, quote, "I don't know who Bruce is, though."
She doesn't know who Bruce... Oh, my God. Right, this is
Fraser, this is your friend on the podcast.
Right,
this
is a conversation afterwards.
Pause this podcast. He's gonna walk into the back, and we're just gonna hear him start yelling.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I have failed our producer. Obviously, my methods of giving her wisdom about movie and TV has definitely not paid off. So I am officially a failure because she still does not know who Bruce Campbell is. She still keeps asking me, Fraser, about what's crumbled my biscuits, even though you've told her.
Yeah.
She does it to annoy me, I know she does, but still. Anyway, enough about the producer and her wanting to crumble my biscuits. What show have we got next?
Loki.
Oh yeah.
How many Lokis can you fit into one show?
It's Tom Hiddleston being Tom Hiddleston. That's all you need to know about it.
Not to mention all the other Lokis that were there as well.
Yeah.
Although I will say one thing, I do draw the line at kissing yourself.
I think it fits.
It does, but I still draw the line at him.
I think it fit way too well to have a line drawn.
Yeah. I will say one thing. It was
conceded. So.
Yeah. I will say one thing. It was exceedingly funny. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And obviously, for reasons obviously known, we now know that Kang, the Conqueror, is one of the next big bads in the MCU. So always thankful to him for that.
Yeah.
And now because of what's her name? It was Sophia DiMartino's character. I forget her name now. Yes, I know, Marvelites. Go and butcher me. I know. What can I say? I'm human. I forget. You know who I mean, though, don't you? I can't remember her name, but she was absolutely brilliant. Sylvie, that's it. She was absolutely brilliant.
Yes,
she's basically the way they describe the character. She's basically like a combined version of Loki and Enchantress.
What a go! I don't know what her future holds, but I would like to see her in the MCU again. I genuinely would. Does Loki need a second season? I actually genuinely think it does, because it left on a cliffhanger. Bearing in mind it did, and now we need to see what the repercussions of that are. I mean, we know why the TVA was established, but we don't know what's going on with the TVA going forward. We don't know what's going on with Loki going forward. So I would actually like a second season, even if you only do another season, just to clear that up, because there's just like every single Marvel project, there's always questions that need answering. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed Tom Hiddleston just being him, basically. I enjoyed all the Lokis. Even Richard E. Grant as Loki. Now that is something that I can never say every single day of the week. Just need to find something, chaps. While you have you seen Loki, Nathan?
Oh God, Loki was fun.
Yeah, you watched it.
It
was, wasn't it?
Well, I'm sorry. It's as I put it. It's Tom Hiddleston being Tom Hiddleston in, quite frankly, one of the most fun roles in the MCU, just dialed up to 11. The hilarity in this is absolutely insane. Loki, big ups for me on Loki. Loki's great. Sylvie's really great too. I like the subtle foreshadowing. It's like, what if WandaVision didn't actually have the turn and it was just a constant dark comedic tone all the way through? It was great. So much fun. Yeah, my name's Michael Fraser. I want to say that I don't like Loki at all.
I thought you had more to say, so.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, Loki was a lot of fun. The first episode was probably, like, to me the most fun, just because, like, Loki shows up and he's trying to talk his way out of it, and he keeps getting just messed up, and then he lands in the one office, and it's like, here's everything you've ever said, the sign. He starts talking, and they just keep adding more stuff to it. Owen Wilson deserves amazing credit for how well he played off of Tom Hiddleston. Owen Wilson, I haven't seen do anything that fun in years, and he was just fantastic.
Do you think it went down to good direction with Wilson, or what?
Well, put it this way, I am not the biggest Owen Wilson fan, but even I thought he was good in that.
I love the way they played off each other. I thought it was fantastic, and what they did with the character.
It was almost like a marriage, wasn't it?
It was when your best friend knows you for years, and you can't get off your shit that you're doing, and your best friend just finally calls you on. It was like that. It's like watching two best friends just trying to call each other out on their stuff, and it just made it that much better.
So it's basically, if you want to watch a 12 episode or 13 episode or however long it is series of us riffing on Michael Fraser for his love of Kenny Omega, that's what Owen Wilson is.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's pretty much that.
Now, anything else to add on Loki before we move on, chaps? No.
Go watch it.
Just seriously, do go watch it. But then again, watch anything of that Disney's done. This one's a bit bittersweet because we haven't actually mentioned any of the movies yet. Scarlett Johansson's last and first origin story, that has been a long time coming.
I've not seen it.
You haven't seen it. I will say I enjoyed it. I did actually get a bit shocked by who Taskmaster actually was. I won't ruin it for when you do watch it, Nathan. But when you actually think about it and you piece all the pieces of a puzzle together, you do actually realize that, it was her, was it? Or was it him? It was one or the other. Either way, Ray Winston, who basically you go to if you want an absolutely brilliant, a brilliant actor who can literally play the baddie as well as anybody else. If you have him in your movie, you know he's going to deliver. But I will say one thing, Fraser. Florence Pugh, what a lady. She started in that, and her and Natasha were always bitching at each other. They were always bickering, bitching, and then it was always down to. I don't actually know if that story by David Harbour's character is actually true. You know, the one where he says he beat up. I think it was he beat up Captain America. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but there has been. I think I saw some reports on the near enough round when it came out that he actually had. But at the same time, we don't know.
I've heard like a mixed thing. Like he says something like his character's not the most reliable narrator.
He's not. But seriously, Nathan, I actually would recommend this. If not, because we obviously get to see Florence Pugh's Yelena introduced properly, I would watch it simply because it's Scarlett Johansson's final movie in the MCU. Although I do hope she comes back, I generally do. But we'll see we'll see what the future holds for her.
It's one of those things. I'll consider it, but
not overly bothered. But I will miss Scarlett Johansson because she was just so brilliant. She generally was. But then again, there might be a sequel because we don't know. Because we don't know what's happened to the rest of the family. Obviously, we know what's happened to Yelena, but we don't know what's happened to Mom and Dad. So I would actually like a Black Widow 2 following Pugh's character, just so we can see what all the others who survived have actually got up to. So would you like a sequel, Fraser? Even if it just focused on Florence Pugh's character a bit more?
I'd be fine with that, but I haven't watched the first one. And when it comes down to it, that movie, what was it, Blondie or Blonde Bomb or whatever, where it had the blonde assassin, it basically was Black Widow's origin.
Probably.
And watching this one, like, I don't think I'm going to watch it. Like, they've already got rid of Black Widow, and so any tension that's there is kind of gone because there's not going to be any doubt she'll make it out in one piece in any way whatsoever. Because like we already saw what happened in game, so that kind of breaks immersion.
Yeah, they kind of ruin it. Unfortunately, it's just how it happened.
So I kind of don't really plan on watching it, mostly because of that. They should have dropped this movie like a long time ago before Endgame. They shouldn't have waited till sometime after.
But that's the thing, though. They don't think like that. They just think, we'll just release it when we want. But the only problem is, I think they were going to release it before Endgame, but obviously stuff happened for whatever reason. So ultimately, I would actually say that they did a good job with it, but at the same time, they literally made it predictable because we knew. Because the thing is, with every movie starring someone like you say Black Widow or Iron Man, even they're going to survive. But I think it was the case of we knew that she was going to die in Endgame when she had her solo film announced. Then it was like, for God's sake, no, it's just shit. But yeah, I did actually watch it. I would like a second one focusing on Yelena, but like I said, I'm not going to disagree with you when you say it kind of ruined it because we knew that when she died in Endgame, this was going to be her last one because I actually did enjoy it. But at the same time, it is absolutely good as far as action goes, as far as comedy goes, as far as the action sequences as well. And I generally would watch it. I haven't watched it since, I'll be honest, but if the producer went to me and said, "Did you fancy watching Black Widow tonight?" I'd say, "Yeah, I would." Now I know there is one on here. I don't really want to talk about until the end because I will go on forever. So, what I would consider the biggest surprise of the MCU in 2021, which is Shangchi.
Haven't seen it.
Haven't watched it yet.
Well, let me just say it this way: Shangchi. I don't think anyone expected it to do as good as it did, and it did absolutely brilliantly. Honestly, all my expectations for it were just blown out of the water when I watched it. I kept thinking to myself, right, I know there's not been much hope put on this movie, but I do actually genuinely hope that it is a good movie. It's not only good, it's absolutely brilliant. It is, I mean, no offense, but the only thing that really beats this as far as movies in comic book go would literally be Spider-Man No Way Home. I would generally say to you two, if you ever get Disney Plus, I would actually give that a watch because it is genuinely brilliant. Plus, if you actually like John Wick sort of movies with a lot of martial arts, that is your thing. If that's your thing, I would watch that as well. Because there is a fair bit of martial arts in it. I mean, there's even and I can actually say this because it is actually, I think it's actually been put on YouTube quite a bit. There's actually a fight on a San Francisco, I think it's a San Francisco tram. That's actually quite good. But I would say one thing though, it is absolutely quite good, and I would recommend anybody who hasn't seen it yet, this does include you two, I would advise you two to watch it because it is absolutely, I do like it a lot.
All right. Fair enough.
Now, there is MODOK on here, but I haven't watched it yet.
I have only seen trailers of it. It looks like fun. I just have not gone around to it.
I haven't watched it either. I know, go and hate us, but what can we say? There's just too much stuff on. Well, have you two watched The Eternals yet?
No.
No.
I have. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest. You've got an Oscar-winning director doing it. You've got a cast list that, to be fair, is probably the dreams of just about any director. The dreams being Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, who is, let's face it, he is our producer's wet dream. Who else is in it? But I can't even remember. There's that much star quality in it. Gemma Chan's in it. It's just, I'll be honest, I don't really know what I was expecting of it because obviously it's not like it's something that everybody knows. I mean, I seem to remember, Fraser, you saying that you didn't know that much about the Eternals as far as comic books go.
Yeah, pretty much the only real iconic run was the stuff Jack Kirby was doing.
And that's I think I seem to recall that's what the movie was going to be based off. I think the other thing is, yes, Gemma Chan is she's a great actress. She's a lovely person. But the fact of the matter is, if it's not like well known as say Iron Man is, I genuinely don't think it was going to do well. I will say there is stuff in store for a sequel, but the thing is, I don't really think, this is me personally, I'm not saying it on behalf of you two or anybody else. I personally think that you would not get put it this way, Guardians of the Galaxy has been worthy of a trilogy. Iron Man was worthy of a trilogy, probably more, same with Captain America, same with Thor. If they did it to, say, two Eternals movies, I would say that would be it. Unless the second one really blows me away. Because whereas our producer, who thinks that basically everything is great, she loved it. I myself was not so sure. The action was great, but at the same time, it's not a movie that I would watch again and again and again. It's like, if you gave me a choice between Eternals and Shangchi, I'd rather watch Shangchi. I just genuinely would. So, I don't mean to be shitting all over it, but the fact of the matter is, it's not the more wide known, like, say, Iron Man is, Thor is, Captain America is. And it's actually suffered. I think it's actually the worst rated Marvel movie on Rotten Tomatoes. And I don't really think it's done as well to say as what No Way Home's done, which, if I seem to remember reading right, is about to make $1 billion.
Over $1 billion in a global pandemic.
That's in 1 week. So, with all due respect to Eternals, give us one more movie. Let the Harry Styles fans just have their little moment in the sun, and then just leave them for Avengers movies. That's just what I would suggest. Obviously, if you two watch it, and you would probably say different. The producer says differently, but then again, she thinks everything's great. So with that being said, I wasn't going to say Venom Let There Be Carnage, but because of a certain end credit scene, we can actually say it. We can actually have a look at it. Now, I don't know if you two have actually watched this yet. I'm going to say you probably haven't.
Mm-mm.
There is only one thing that really bothered me about this movie. Actually, if there was only one question I actually wanted asking. Will Carnage be great? Now, to be honest, we know Woody Harrelson can't play them sort of characters because, let's face it, the guy was in Natural Born Killers. Now, I did enjoy his take on Cletus Cassidy. The problem is, this is the big problem I have. Cletus Cassidy in the 90s animation of Spider-Man was literally like a complete psycho. He was deranged. He was literally like, well, he was about as close to the Joker as Cletus Cassidy could ever get. Now, Woody Harrelson's version, yes, he is a bit mad. He is a bit psychotic. But he's not making me go, oh, I really love his version of Carnage. It's like, I want Carnage to be like that. No, not at all. I will say one thing. If he came back for another, I would be happy with him as the choice. I was happy with him as the choice to begin with. The rest of the movie is not too bad. Obviously, there's the usual Venom talking to Eddie, Eddie talking to him, and looking like he's got voices in his head, which was quite funny. The whole sequence where Venom's talking to Annie, who's related to Eddie, and then Eddie's related to Annie, who's related to Venom, was actually quite funny. And obviously, if you've seen the end of No Way Home, you know why I brought this up. So, I know you two haven't, but have you two seen No Way Home yet? By the way, Nathan, you're on mute.
No, and I really wish I had.
You still, well, put it this way, mate. It'll be on Disney Plus soon. So
that's what I'm waiting for. I know where I am right now, and the term hot spot seems to really apply, but it's anywhere in Ontario, really. So yeah, I'm going to abstain from seeing this in theaters. I will be watching it as soon as it comes to Disney Plus. Except if it comes via Premier Access, because I can't stand.
Because they've done that with everything else, but I think they won't with this. I think once it goes on Disney Plus, that'll be it. You'll watch it. They only do that for certain releases anyway. We did it for Black Widow. They did it for, I think we did it for Shangchi as well. But if it's out in cinemas and it's not on Disney Plus, then they won't charge you an extortionate amount for it. I will say one thing. It's not, like I said, it's not too bad. It has its funny parts. It has its great parts. But Woody Harrelson does not do that 90s animated Spider-Man Carnage for me. But I will say, this is me. I have very high standards. I am one of those guys, one of those people who prefers something that reminds me of the 90s animated Spider-Man, but doesn't make me hate it so much that it's so shit, because he's not shit at all. He's absolutely brilliant. But at the same time, he's not like Cletus Cassidy in the 90s Spider-Man levels of mad, but he's still mad. But he doesn't make me go all giddy every time I hear Cletus Cassidy is played by Woody Harrelson. Like, God. So the movie itself is not a disappointment. I'm just kind of disappointed that he didn't portray Cletus a bit more deranged, if you like. With that being said, I look forward to, if there is a third one, I don't know if there will be, but if there is a third one, I would like to see, I'm not sure who I'd like to see in it, to be honest, but if they somehow brought Carnage back, I would like to see him a little bit more deranged and a bit more psychotic than what they actually left him at. And one more thing: if you're going to put Carnage in another Venom movie, please make it 18, otherwise it's pointless.
Yep,
it generally is.
Can you imagine R-rated Venom and
please,
R-rated Carnage? Like,
please.
I do not have the comic book knowledge of Fraser. I haven't seen nearly as much of Venom or No Way Home as you guys have. But just the thought of Tom Hardy being able to just completely let loose, completely go free. That just sounds like a good idea.
It literally sounds like champagne waiting to be popped open. It's just a case of I wish they would. Right. Now, which one do I do first? Do we do Hawkeye first? Because that has been going since November. Or actually, we'll do Hawkeye first. I mean, it was actually nice to see something grounded. Nothing that needed like 60 ton of special effects and magic and everything else. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed Hailee Steinfeld a lot because she's young. She's absolutely lovely. And not to mention the fact that we might even get a Young Avengers series or movie out of it. That started the whole meme when someone asked her if she was going to be in Young Avengers. She looked at Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige gave one of those dad looks where you just look at him and he's saying, "Don't you dare say a word." So I suspect that Hailee will actually know something. If it does come up, I look forward to it. I really enjoyed her little dynamic she had with Yelena on a few of the last episodes, which was nice. There was also a big shout out to, actually, I think I'm going to pronounce her name right. If I'm not, I apologize. Allegra Cox, who played Echo, who is actually deaf, and apparently Jeremy Renner and Hailee Steinfeld learned basic sign language, so things were made easier for her on set. I can't wait to see her solo series. I genuinely can't. I'm so excited. And not to mention, boys, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we got Wilson Fisk back.
I haven't watched Hawkeye, so.
But to be fair, it's been sprouted all over the internet, mate. So you can't miss it. But yes, mate, the Kingpin is here, which opens the door for so much. It genuinely does. In fact, Fraser, is there actually a Marvel hero who has not had business or dealings with Kingpin?
There's a few that have, and he's mostly been like the Spider-Man and Daredevil.
Exactly. There's a new trilogy coming for Spider-Man. And obviously Daredevil, if you've seen No Way Home, is actually in the MCU. But then again,
I haven't watched No Way Home either, so
it doesn't matter. It's already been on. He's already been asked. And
we literally just got the movie today in my town. So
yeah, but no offense.
Wait, whoa! Hang on a second.
What?
Our small town, like when the theater is actually open, which by the way is the reason why we don't have Spider-Man No Way Home in my hometown at all. Our theater's closed until spring. But you're telling me that the MCU movies, the movies that are guaranteed to make a theater money, are movies that you don't get until a week after the fact?
Yeah, we only get it for a week. We have it from January 2nd to January 6th.
Oh my
so we only have it for like
God,
a week.
that's
seriously, Fraser. Seriously, take my word for it. You pull a sickie and you go and watch it. But in fairness, I can sort of understand, because even though I live near a big town, there only used to be a 3-screen cinema, and then if you want to go for another one, you'd have to go like about 30 miles away. So I do understand that from his point of view. But at the same time, I think what you need, Fraser, is like a really big multiplex. If there's any famous billionaires, I'm sure they could build you one.
Probably.
But
don't worry about a thing, Fraser.
Yeah, a billionaire. He'll build it for you.
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't care what you have to do. Bring the kids off sick. Go and watch it.
Oh yeah. I'll build you a real good multiplex.
Not that sort of multiplex.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back on. Yep, not that multiplex. Anyway, getting back on Hawkeye before Vince. In fact, Vince, what are you doing here? You're not even allowed on these shows anymore.
You asked for a billionaire to build Fraser a multiplex.
If I remember correctly,
I wasn't fired by the producer.
Oh, but she can. Oh, by the way, why do we need a billionaire when we can just simply tag Elon Musk in a post?
Well, because it's bad for the environment. Nobody would want Elon Musk to make a theater.
The guy apparently made 140 billion last year.
Especially not the Fraser Dome.
Is that what you're going to call your new cinema in your place, Fraser? The Fraser Dome.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the proof there. We only get it for like a week.
It is bad. It genuinely sucks. But as far as we'll get on Spider-Man: No Way Home anyway. But I will say about Hawkeye, it is a great Christmas movie. It's a great Christmas TV series. There's so much in it, and not to mention Jeremy Renner actually has the chance to not actually be possessed or put in the corner like he has been for a lot of the time. But I generally do think that Jeremy Renner is coming to the end of his MCU tenure, I should say. I do apologize. Just everything about the character from what I've actually seen in the series basically indicates that he's ready for retirement. So this was obviously set up. This was to set up Haley Steinfeld's entry as Kate Bishop, which will be his replacement. As I seem to remember, she was his protege and he was her mentor, Fraser.
It's pretty much the solo Hawkeye series. Of course, the MCU did Hawkeye pretty dirty through most of the films, to the point even Jeremy Renner said that they basically could just pull him out of the films and it wouldn't make a difference, and he got in a ton of trouble for it, and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
So...
But seriously, if you haven't watched it yet, I know it's just gone New Year's Day. Well, actually, it's 2nd of January, but do watch it because it is absolutely brilliant. Particularly now that we have Wilson Fisk in the MCU, which opens the door, like I said, for endless opportunities. And that's a point. There's still the question to be answered, Fraser. Who bought Avengers Tower?
Honestly, I think it'd be interesting if they ended up turning that into the Baxter Building, which is kind of the theories going around.
There is that theory, but there's also a theory that is Crime Central. But no offense, but Wilson Fisk could afford that.
He could pretty much afford a lot of things. Like at one point, he pretty much ended up as the mayor of New York. So
yeah. I must admit, in fact, I'm pretty sure throughout the 90s animated series, Wilson Fisk actually bought just about everything in New York.
He pretty much is New York, so...
Yeah. Right, so can I just ask you two a question? Who has seen Spider-Man: No Way Home?
I haven't.
I have not.
Right, I'm not going to say too much because there is a lot in there. It's funny as fuck, because it is. It's genuinely funny as hell. There's a lot of action in it. Nostalgia is absolutely at its primest. You obviously know why.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie.
Because they got me back! Me! J. Joe Jameson!
Yeah, but you're not in it for very much longer. And obviously, Fraser has gone away because he knows what the majority of the story is about. What's those three favorite words of his? Is it one, followed by more, followed by day?
Well, I mean, yeah. I heard that too. There's a lot of people hearkening back to just one more day, one more day.
Who'd have known that one more day would factor into the biggest Spider-Man movie that MCU has made? Who would have figured? But I will say this: the ending is absolute, complete, and utter heartbreak. It genuinely is.
And more importantly, you broke my heart with this one too, Dean.
Why? I haven't said anything.
J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson is not in it very long.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is,
how
do you know I'm telling you the truth? How do you know I'm not sugarcoating it?
Because I know you wouldn't lie, especially when it comes to J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson. The only thing I marked out in Far From Home was the post-credit scene where J. Jonah Jameson shows up.
Don't worry.
But I was the only thing. I was like a little girl because it was the best part of that entire. It's the best part of that entire movie.
It's not the best part of this movie, no. But there's just too much to go over. But like I said, action's absolutely brilliant. And I will say one thing: you will be surprised how the depth of Tom Holland's Peter Parker goes, because everything is literally swept, gone 360 degrees. 1,000 miles up in the air. He's just literally everywhere in this movie as far as actions go, as far as emotions go. Basically, watching this will break Fraser's heart. I can't hear you, Fraser.
Will it break it more than one more day, Fraser?
I already had something spoiled for me, and I figured it out just from an actor's reaction during their interview. So,
well, to be fair, they've signed NDAs that say they can't say anything anyway. So, even though Andrew Garfield said he wasn't in it, that's the classic case of yes, you are in it. You just can't say that you're in it.
no, I already heard like a character goes down, and I already know who it is just because it was pretty obvious, even though they haven't
I'm still
revealed
not
it
saying
yet.
who it is.
I already know it's pretty obvious.
Oh, good. But either way, gentlemen, it's definitely worth the watch. I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but I have heard a rumor that a certain I'm not going to say it's actually quite hard to say this without giving anything away, but the ending of this movie might tie in with a future MCU series. I'm not going to say what it is, but when you actually realize what I'm actually on about, you will actually see what it possibly could be. I know Fraser will. I hope Fraser can. If not, he's not the true encyclopedia. But I'm not going to say anything else on it. But I will just say it is probably my movie of the year by far, and that's saying a lot. It genuinely is. And I say this because even though Mortal Kombat is not the greatest movie of 2021, I still loved it because we had Daniel Nelson on here, and not to mention him and Nathan are now best buddies. So
with movies like that, just by the way you're talking, and movies like Mortal Kombat, you can forgive a lot more of its shortcomings, which, quite frankly, I think Mortal Kombat's great regardless, but you can forgive a lot of that because Mortal Kombat itself was made with so much love, so much care. Yeah. And you would hope with Spider-Man No Way Home, knowing what I know, that it was made with the same amount of love and care because it comes out in the film itself. And I'm going to go back to something that you said earlier, Dean. Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy. It didn't feel like it was made out of love. It felt like it was made out of obligation. And I hope when I go to see stuff like Spider-Man No Way Home, as I did with Mortal Kombat, that it was made with that. It was made with love because it can come out in the theater. Mm. And love, especially for its source material, One More Day, which, as we all know, is one of the best comics ever.
Yeah, it is, even though Fraser says it's not, but it is.
It's garbage, it's trash.
It can't be that bad, mate, because let's face it, it's included in the biggest Spider-Man movie ever made.
And more importantly, buddy, did you forget about my Christmas gift to you?
Yeah, I'll never forget that one, Nathan. That is like the core of the stocking.
It is the best Christmas gift I could ever come up with. Hey, I got more of it. You want more of it?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure? I got it all, man. I got it all.
But the writer of One More Days, like, there's so much I can say about that book, about it being trash, garbage. I wouldn't wipe my ass with it, but they literally needed a way to get Spider-Man back, I guess, to his roots of being single and all that other stuff. Yet you're telling me they couldn't have just like had him and MJ break up, keep us on the edge of our seats still about if Aunt May will make it or not make it, because Peter would have been at his most conflicted point. Like, but instead they're gonna go that route and undo like a bunch of Spider-Man stories, even though originally they didn't overmount the Clone Saga because the guy that wrote X-Men at the time didn't want anyone to upstage the arc he was doing at that point, so they had to go with the obvious reveal, and they just dragged it on for years. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm going to say this, nobody cares about the X-Men. Nobody cared about the X-Men compared to the Spider-Man comics. Even to this day, Spider-Man is their poster boy for Marvel. So...
So you do want more of the Christmas gift that I sent you?
No,
buddy?
No, I don't. I would like a Spider-Man 2099 movie at some point, but that's about it.
That might happen. It might happen.
Do you want me to send my Christmas gift to your wife, buddy, in its entirety, buddy?
Oh, please do.
No.
Please send it, mate. Please send it.
No.
Consider that my New Year's resolution, that you send something to Jesse that will make Fraser mad.
No. One More Day is trash.
One More Day
Marvel
is
to be
brilliant.
ashamed of themselves. It's up there with the
Fraser,
Clone Saga for me.
Right, it cannot be trash if it is basically included in the plot.
It's trash. You know why it's trash? Because they basically did a retcon thing within the story that Peter remembers that Doctor Strange is the one that erased everything. So people would forget his stuff, not the whole thing of Mephisto, because they had to erase his memory because MJ knew if he remembered the deal, he would try to undo it, which would cause Aunt May to die. Basically, it is trash. It is trash. It is trash. They should be ashamed of themselves that they wrote it. J. Michael Straczynski is a hack who shouldn't have done this with Spider-Man, even though they're saying he's the man that saved Spider-Man. Nah, it's trash. It's trash. It's trash. It's total, complete, and utter trash. And you could have written something better. And now guess what? Nick Spencer had to spend a lot of time slowly trying to undo some of the stuff you were doing. And then the next writer's going to do it. And guess what? Peter and MJ are going to hook up anyway. So make them unmarried doesn't even do anything. It's basically just being common law. So what was the point?
They done?
No, I got more. I could do this all day, but no.
I'm
gonna spend an entire podcast at this point when it's the One More Day special, and I'm gonna go over the whole thing.
Nathan,
Sweet.
Nathan, did he just give out an idea there?
Oh my God!
Next week.
No. He's got it. Let him go. Anything we got planned, let him go. That is so much better than what we have, man. Let him go.
I've got an idea. We've always been wanting Fraser to do something on his own, haven't we? I mean, you and I have done many a thing together, but Fraser has never really done anything. I'll say not so much anything on his own. But I'll say but nothing really other than this, because we've done a few things together. So why doesn't Fraser, obviously when he's ready and he's got time, why doesn't he do an entire limited edition series about why One More Day is trash?
Oh my God!
I would only need one episode. I'd only need one.
Phrase.
Just bury One More Day.
Phrase. I beg of you. I will come on just to eat popcorn. So you got somebody to do this.
Right. Hold on a minute. So, Fraser, will you do a limited edition trash and roast of One More Day? You're gonna make two people's New Year if you say yes.
I will do a special going over the issues with One More Day.
Result.
All right. Is it gonna be next week? Is it gonna be next week? We're gonna have the One More Day special.
He's gonna do it when he's got time for it. Because besides, next week we have just about everything from Disney Plus for 2022 this year to go over, and Apple and Netflix as well. Just before I go on to Marvel's What If, which I've been leaving, there are a few things that Disney Plus did on. They released I can't remember when it was, but I think it was last year. They showed a lot of what's coming out in next year on Disney Plus. Marvel wise, Moon Knight's out next year, Miss Marvel's out in the summer, She-Hulk's out. That's all I got out of it, but other ones that are coming next year is Eternals is actually out on Disney Plus second today, so it's another 10 days, which will make it week on Wednesday. Cheaper by the dozen. The new TV show's out in March. Hocus Pocus 2 is out in the fall. Obi-Wan Kenobi's out next year. A remake of Willow's coming out. Pinocchio's coming out. Disenchanted is out. High School Musical Season 3 is out. Star Wars Andor's out.
Yay.
Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is out this year as well. And,
whoa. Is that the remake or the original?
That's the remake. The old stuff is already on Disney Plus. I know this because I've watched it all. But, gentlemen, this is the pièce de résistance for me. This is the one I genuinely can't wait for. Bad Batch Season 2.
I don't know, man. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers remake sounds way better to me, but
oh no, I love Bad Batch. As soon as Bad Batch Season 1 ended, I wanted Season 2 to begin straight away. Come on, Fraser. You've watched Bad Batch. I know you have.
Yeah, I've watched the Bad Batch.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah. I liked how they incorporate some stuff from Kanan's comic into it as well, and I'm hoping we'll get like a solo Kanan like prequel.
Well, we'll have to wait for that. But the last one on the docket, and I have waited until last because I just love alternate history. It's Marvel's What If. I don't know if you guys have watched it in its entirety.
I've not watched it in its entirety, but the stuff I have watched is fantastic.
That's fine. We can go over that.
I've watched it.
I believe there is a Gamora and Tony Stark one missing, which will be part of season 2.
They was originally supposed to be part of season 1, but due to the COVID and the delays, they had to push it back.
So with all due respect, because it's What If, I'm going to say my goodbyes now. I'm going to take my headset off. I'm going to leave the room. I'm going to let y'all talk about it because the stuff I have seen out of One More Day is great. The stuff I'm going to see at a What If is even better. If you could find 2 better entities than One More Day and What If, I'd like to hear it. I will be back once you guys are done. But
I think 5 minutes should be enough.
5 minutes? Cool.
Yeah, 5 minutes should be enough.
Cool.
Right, he's off, and the headphones are off. How much of it have you seen? Have you seen all of it?
I've seen all of it.
So, now, as a guy who really genuinely loves alternate histories, because I always love stuff like this, it's just so intriguing to find that the majority of the end result literally just came up to the same. I mean, Marvel Zombies, that one was my favourite because I've been looking forward to that in some sort of adaptation. And it was literally the same as the MCU as a whole. I did enjoy the Doctor Strange one because that was brilliant. Also, it was a case of, even though he lost the love of his life and he literally tried to make it work, that she was still alive, it still didn't work. And he wouldn't accept it. And his love and obsession obviously consumed his world, which was a bad thing, but I guess it just goes to show that the limit that some superheroes will do for love and the people they love. Honestly, Fraze, I will say one thing. The one that stands out, obviously, is the one with not Black Panther, because he's not Black Panther. The Guardians of the Galaxy. In fact, it's Guardians of the Galaxy meets Black Panther, because that was Chadwick Boseman's last one. Which obviously, like I said earlier, is a bit bittersweet for me, because it's probably bittersweet for a lot of people, because obviously Chadwick Boseman was unfortunately taken from us way, way before he should have been. So he will be missed, but suffice to say, he has left enough of a legacy that he will always be remembered. The finale I actually quite enjoyed. Obviously, you hire Jeffrey Wright was absolutely mint as the Watcher. Obviously, we didn't have everybody in it. Dave Bautista wasn't in it. James Spader wasn't in it to play Ultron again. I was actually quite shocked by that Ultron one,
Yeah, the Ultron one was pretty good. Doctor Strange one's probably my favorite one out of all of them. Interesting thing, Chadwick Boseman, apparently after doing the audios for that series, wanted to incorporate some of that version of Black Panther's personality into the main MCU T'Challa.
I enjoyed Captain Carter, though. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, Captain Carter was cool. I also like the way they handled Steve Rogers as Iron Man.
That was actually quite good. I'm trying to think what else there was, but honestly, all of it was just absolutely brilliant. Although I will say one thing, there was the Thor one was literally, you could actually envision Chris Hemsworth actually being that Thor, couldn't you?
Yeah, honestly, in Thor 1, he definitely was that Thor.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm trying to think which one it was. The Killmonger one, I felt, was absolutely brilliant. As far as storytelling went, you could not fault it one bit.
No, that one was really good. Like, Killmonger, they made him such a good character in the movie, and then they did the What If episode, and it was just fantastic.
I'm trying to think what else there was, because there was about 12 episodes, and I saw them a lot before I saw the finale of it. Marvel Zombies I really loved, because obviously I do enjoy playing zombies, because I've got Call of Duty. I still play it now, even though Cold War has literally been and gone, and we should have Vanguard, but nobody likes Vanguard zombies. So,
well, there was the one where the Avengers died. There was the Doctor Strange episode. There was the What If Zombies. There was What If Killmonger rescues Stark. There was the
Yep.
Thor episode, the What If Ultron 1 episode, What If the Watcher broke his oath, which was the finale.
Yep. The Watcher one was the finale was actually quite good. Although, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't know what I was expecting in that. To be honest, I just was expecting carnage. I was expecting endgame levels of carnage, but for some strange reason we didn't get them, which kind of made it a bit sad for me because I was like, season's gone so well. I have not had a bad thing to say about anything this season, and then they let it down with a finale like that. That's the only thing the only thing bad I will say about What If is the finale was for me a bit of a disappointment. But I will say
a two-parter episode. It would have worked a lot better.
But why not? Everyone else does two-parters. Just before he comes back, because he will be back in a minute, because we did say 5 minutes and it's been 6. We would recommend this to anybody else. There is a season 2 coming. I myself would like to see this go on and on and on for about as many seasons as they can possibly do.
I'm hoping for multiple seasons. There's so many what if stories that they can do. Like, what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? What if Spider-Man became the Punisher? There's a ton of great stories in the What If series, so there's endless arrays they can do.
Yeah, I can't wait for the story. What if Deadpool was possessed by Venom? Then you could have Venom Pool. Then my missus would be happy. Well, she'd sort of be happy, but she wouldn't be because Ryan Reynolds would have to voice him for her to be happy.
Ryan Reynolds probably would do it. He probably wouldn't hesitate.
I will say one thing. We haven't really said about whether we'd have a sequel or anything else for majority of the stuff. So Shang-Chi, I would actually like multiple movies. We haven't said anything about MODOK yet. What else have we discussed? Eternals, like I said, I'd rather have 2. I wouldn't want any more than 2 unless they're going to make it into a trilogy, which I highly doubt, because as far as making profits gone, it's not done that well. Spider-Man, obviously, there will be more, so we can't really go into that because they've already announced another trilogy. What If, I'd like to go for multiple seasons. It's just so good. And the best thing is, aside from the season finale, I've never really tired of it, even though I haven't seen it in like weeks and months. I still think about it, and it still resides with me today. I can still remember the excitement I felt of watching it and the excitement that I'm actually getting while I'm basically talking about it. So I actually do want What If to continue for a long time, even if it incorporate some of that comes into the actual timeline. It would be good. So with that being said, we'll end that part on there. Unless you want to say something quickly before he turns his headphones back on.
What If was really good. I'm hoping they do more with that version of Doctor Strange. People think that might be the version of him in Doctor Strange 2, so I'm interested to see what they do next.
Right, he's here. Right, we did go over a bit, but we didn't see it for 10 minutes, so we lengthened it out a bit. Basically, what we're saying to you is please finish What If.
All right.
So, just as I mentioned, some of the shows coming next year. What are you guys, I'll say, really wanting to watch more? She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, or anything else that hasn't actually been announced yet? I am really looking forward to She-Hulk.
I have one thing to say about What If, but it's not really spoiler. Josh Keaton's amazing in What If.
In fairness, I had not actually seen Josh Keaton as Spider-Man, but I did watch. Is it the Spectacular Spider-Man?
It is Spectacular Spider-Man. Where Josh
I did watch that, and I think he's generally one of the best voice actors there is.
He is.
He genuinely is. So
who is he? Is he Captain Fraser? Because I know he's not Spidey.
Yeah, he's Steve
Spidey
Rogers
as well. I'm pretty sure he's also Spidey in it.
Yeah, because there is actually. I don't think Tom Holland is Spider-Man in it.
Okay,
you do need to watch it.
I've got to do some soul searching.
Yes, you do.
Right now. Come on, baby.
So while he does that, as far as next year goes, I'm more looking forward to She-Hulk because we do have a question about how do we get from Professor Hulk to just Banner again, and I think that this might actually answer it. Not to mention the fact that everyone I've interviewed who actually has co-starred with Tatiana Maslany, who will play Jennifer Walters, has said...
Oh, I didn't mind, he's just Cap. I was wrong. Well, he's capping it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone who has worked with Tatiana Maslany, who will play Jennifer Walters, I've interviewed. I've asked them about her, and they've said she's absolutely brilliant. So, no offense, but they've kind of heaped a very, 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 very high expectation on her now. But I genuinely think she'll be all right. And also, England's own Jamelia Jamil is playing Titania, who will be She-Hulk's nemesis for the majority of this season. And there's also a rumor that a certain blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen might pop up.
Oh, really? Good old Maddie.
Yep. I personally can't wait for it. So I know I've only said 3 really, and I'm not entirely sure what else there is coming out this year as far as Marvel goes. But what are you guys looking forward to at some point? I'll say at some point this year.
I'm looking forward to the Michael Fraser One More Day special.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that.
If I were held at gunpoint, I would say, what are you looking forward to more? All the stuff that Marvel's got coming to Disney Plus, or the Michael Fraser One More Day special? I'm sorry, Disney.
It is Shut
up and take my money. I'm sorry, Fraser. It's one of the few times you give me chills, man.
Right, I'll tell you what. We're in January now, aren't we? So we have what? Hold on, 9th, 16th, 25th. 4 weeks left in this month, so we'll give you plenty of time. We want the Michael Fraser One More Day edition to be released on Valentine's Day.
Oh, please. Oh, God, yes.
Nathan needs to have some company because he'll be on his own this year, bless him.
It's true. It's really true.
He needs somebody to feel. He needs somebody to love, and unfortunately, that special will be you. So, can you do it in 4 weeks?
We can do that in 4 weeks, so that's what you want.
That's what we want.
Hey, whenever you're ready to just give it your all, I'm going to let you know right now. That podcast, just so you know, I'm going to be eating popcorn. I'm not going to be much help for you.
Unless you want to join him.
See, the thing is, the only thing that I can bring is just say all the good things about One More Day, just to piss him off even more.
Well,
that'd be the only
thing. Controversy increases viewership, so maybe that's not a bad idea. If you do this, boys, please promise me there will still be a podcast at the end of the arguing.
I'm just saying, One More Day inspired arguably one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time. And I haven't even seen the Spider-Man movie, but if you look at the trailers, if you look at everything that's been released, there is so much One More Day vibing.
There is. Honestly, friends, I know you hate One More Day.
You gotta love One More Day.
Yeah, I know you hate One More Day. You genuinely hate it with more of a passion than I hate Adam Sandler. But it is something to be said if they've included it in probably the biggest Spider-Man and Marvel movie ever made.
You'll find out in February. You'll find out in February, weren't you?
I was going to say, as you know, I was about to say, you'll probably turn around and say, just because it's included in the Spider-Man movie doesn't mean it's great.
Yep.
But then again, it could be worse. It could be used for, let's say, a Fantastic Four reboot, which is god-awful. The movie that had so much controversy around it, it puts One More Day in, to be honest with you, it puts One More Day in the shade. Jesus Christ. Anything else just to convalesce on 2021's MCU before we go to socials?
So if you're looking at the MCU and all of its offerings on Disney Plus, as much as I will criticize the MCU for being comfort food, and I will, they take very few risks. I'm sorry. It's still comfort food. It's still good. Enjoy whatever the heck you want to enjoy. I don't think you can really go too wrong with the MCU.
But according to Martin Scorsese, you can. But with all due respect, to have and I always say this, doesn't matter who I say it to, unless you actually have done something, you you can't have unless you've done something, you can't have an opinion about it. Now, I love Martin Scorsese. I genuinely do. I think he's one of the best directors that's probably ever lived. But the fact of the matter is, he's not directed a Marvel movie. So how can he literally stand there and say something along the lines of, comic book movies aren't actual proper movies? I mean, no offense, but No Way Home has literally just blitzed everything. Endgame smashed Avatar's record before Avatar got it back, because James Cameron was probably in America and had a bit of a sour face. But like I said, I think No Way Home could be up for Oscars. I mean, no disrespect, but it can't be that bad of a movie if it's been nominated for Oscars. And bearing in mind, nothing as far as comic book goes has ever really won any Oscar, being Oscar worthy, but yet No Way Home is. So can he still say that? I generally don't think he can. But then again, as far as I see it, he can't really have an opinion anyway, because he's never done a comic book movie, unless there's something very secret in his filmography that says he has, which I don't think there is, because he would not touch a comic book movie with a barge pole.
Anyway, yeah. I got none.
So Nathan's refusing to comment on Martin Scorsese's basically ripping Marvel movies apart.
Scorsese has done more in terms of directing, in terms of taking risks, than I could ever hope to as a voiceover artist. Okay. If Scorsese has a vendetta against comic book movies, that's his own business. The man is known for taking risk and for being avant-garde, something that I will say, and I will agree with him, comic book movies could benefit to do. But in terms of saying that, none of them are good, or that they shouldn't exist, or whatever the heck Scorsese has in his head, I would say good for Martin, but I would never advocate that the MCU shouldn't exist.
Maybe the DCEU should DCEU.
Hey! Oh,
I said DCEU, but then I thought I said AU. So then
careful.
But yeah, the DCEU EU shouldn't exist. MCU should. I mean, no offense, but it's been what? Hold on, how many years has it been since we had Man of Steel? Is it 13?
I got Vietnam flashbacks because you said DCAU.
It's funny. They're saying there shouldn't be comic book movies, but didn't a certain actor for The Dark Knight get a certain award for doing it? And
Shut up! No!
We've had V for Vendetta as well.
I did more things than him. Sorry.
By the way, Fraser, you do know you're proving the producer's point, don't you?
I was making people decide things long before Ledger said it was cool. I made people go crazy. But no, people are always like, oh, that Heath Ledger, he was so risky. He's our favorite Joker.
And I know exactly
how
who that's
insane are those people? And they say I'm crazy.
But you're not crazy enough to take on the IRS.
Oh, no, thank you.
I'm just using it as an example. I guess we could throw The Hobbit in there, since, there was the Hobbit graphic novel.
We'll take the precious and we'll be the master. Also,
honest with you, that could actually be a topic for another day, to be honest.
Also, Smeagol knows that was more in line with J.R.R. Tolkien than graphic novels.
And Nathan, can I just say one thing? If we ever get Andy Serkis on here, you're doing that entire interview in that Gollum voice.
Yes, precious.
So we're sorry to do this to you, Andy Serkis, but since we are big fans of yours, we thought we'd have one of your most well-known roles do this interview for us. So maybe introduce you to our lovely friend Smeagol.
Oh, Auntie, Auntie, my love.
Only if he'd be impressed or horrified
So,
by your take on that.
so actually,
I'm not sure which one it would be.
So I was working as a camp counselor, and this was around the same time as the definitive Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings Blu-rays came out, like the extended cut, all on Blu-ray. So it's a lot of these kids' first time seeing it, and I remember walking around, and one kid was talking about Lord of the Rings, and it's a kid I didn't know too. Like, it's a kid I didn't know too well, but a kid who liked to be a shit disturber. So on my next way around, he's talking about it, and then I whisper to him,
"We teach the precious, and we be the master."
And he was, and I walked away, and he's like looking around because he's like, "Oh no, oh God," and then as he's walking around, like he is like on edge, like, who the heck did that? And I remember walking my way around again to him, and I said,
"Those are the fat ones, stupid hobbits."
And he looked at me, and you know that look the kids give you, phrase, the "oh my God" look. Yeah, that's what I got. So I don't like to bust out Schmeagol very often, Golem very often, but that was just hilarious to me. So yeah, I don't know if he's impressed or horrified either. So it'd be great if we got Andy Serkis on here.
Wow.
Who knows? Who knows? The Batman's coming out in a couple of months. We might get our wish if a producer can work her magic.
Please,
Either way,
Melanie.
he's going to be honoured, or he's going to be horrified. I'm guessing he's going to be horrified. Can he speak like Ulysses Claw?
I don't know him well enough to see if I could do it, so I'll get back to you on that one.
I think it's kind of like South African. I think that's the sort of accent it is.
I'll get back to you on that. Like, I actually have to look him up.
Yep. Right, we'll save Nathan's voice and we'll end it there, gentlemen. Just before we go on socials, as always, we thank everybody for listening in 2021, and we still hope that we've got at least one listener in 2022. Yeah, we will. We are bringing more stuff. Like I said to you, Michael Fraser is going to have a limited edition run of going over one more day. In fact, we should actually make that like a weekly thing where he goes down certain comic book stories that he absolutely cannot stand.
I don't think there's that many, though. I think he loves comics way too much.
That's why it's called a limited series. I'll tell you what, Fraser, in the group chat, put a link of the comic book stories you don't like, and we'll go from there. So while he does that, all being well, if he's still there, you can find me on Final Cut Talk on Twitter and Final Cut Official on Instagram. I know the producer said we could have a TikTok, but I don't actually think we've got one. I don't know. She sorts it all out. We don't.
I knows you do. I knows you have a Final Cut TikTok.
Seriously, it's where we put some bloopers for a board game that we're hoping to get off the ground by next October.
Oh, nice to see the visionary doesn't know anything about this potential board game.
Oh, you do know about it, though. It's Batmosphere, Joker's Pool Party.
Oh yes, that one. Yes, I do know that one. Sorry,
so everything's.
And again, we could do a Final Cut one, but we just need a lot of time, which we inevitably don't have.
No, we don't have.
So, hold on a minute. What is Fraser? Since Fraser isn't, he's there. Go on then, Fraser.
I had to send something to Nathan just because he did the voice, and it reminded me of something I found earlier in the week.
Anyway, go on. I've seen it.
Yeah. So socials, Fraser, providing you haven't weed yourself by now.
You can find me on Twitter at 5-Star Wildcard. You can find me on Facebook at Body Slams and Dropkicks. You can find me on the other Facebook at Gokai Studios. You can find me on Instagram at Beautiful Michael, and you can find me on TikTok at Beautiful Michael.
And Mr. Taskar. Is it me or is Nathan frozen? No, is he frozen?
No, he's not frozen. He's just.
Oh, you're just looking at.
You can find me on nowhere really, except for www.deathpixie.ca. If you want to talk to me about voiceover projects or commission me for one of your own, www.deathpixie.ca. Best way to get a hold of me.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to our very first Final Cut Presents Director's podcast of 2022. Hopefully, we as Final Cut Productions will go higher and we will get bigger. But ultimately, only time will tell. Watch me go egg in my face this time next year because we're still where we were. But do you know what? I don't care. I enjoy myself so much on a Sunday night when we do this. I'd not give this up even if Vince McMahon gave me $1 billion to buy out my company. I'd say no. Then again, if I did that, Fraser would never forgive me.
Really not.
There you go, man. That's why I can't do it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the premiere episode of 2022's Final Cut Presents the Director's Cut podcast. We will see you next week, where more than likely we will be going over what is coming out on streaming services next year, or this year, I should say, not next year. Sorry, I'm still in 2021 land. So, with that being said, from the discount Mark Hamill, from the man who obviously has a serious problem with One More Day. Good night, good afternoon, and good evening.
You make it everyone's problem.
He loves one more day. Just like